Let's now take a look at something that Windows comes with that can really help protect us involving our network. All right, so you're probably aware that one of the most common types of things that people utilize for protecting computers on a network is called a firewall. Now, there are different types of firewalls. There are firewalls that are called network firewalls, which are these boxes. They're like appliances. They call them network appliances that you put on your network to protect your network itself. You have traffic flowing out to the internet. You have traffic flowing in from the internet. But then also you have what are called host-based firewalls. Host-based firewalls are also personal firewalls, and they get installed directly on your computer. Now, there's all sorts of different types of firewalls out there. Of course, the one Microsoft cares about is their firewall, which is called Windows Defender Firewall. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Windows Defender Firewall now and how you can configure it. So to get to Windows Defender Firewall, I'm going to go to Control Panel. Just type in the word Control here, open up Control Panel, and then you're going to notice down here I've got Windows Defender Firewall. So I'm going to open that up. And the first thing I want to point out, you've got these things here called network profiles. The cool thing about network profiles is that you can enable and disable firewall rules based on the network profile, depending upon where this computer is. Let's say this computer is a laptop and it jumps around to different networks. Okay, sometimes the computer is at the office, the laptop's at the office, and it's in the domain. Okay, so it's on a domain network. I can configure this part of the firewall to affect computers when they're in the domain. Okay, sometimes your computer may be at your house. All right, that's called a private network. A network that you trust, that you control, is usually called a private network. Okay, and then sometimes your computer may be in a network that you absolutely don't trust. That's called a guest or public network. So like maybe you take your computer to a coffee shop, or it's in a hotel, or it's in an airport, a network you don't trust. This is usually the firewall network profile that you want to restrict the most of the three. Okay, so you can manage, you can have different firewall rules depending upon what profile you're in. All right, so here's another thing you can do. If you want to turn these on or off, you can click Turn Windows Firewall On or Off. Click that, and you could turn them off. Now, I don't recommend turning your firewall off a whole lot unless you've got another firewall. Just don't want to use Windows Defender. Or sometimes I'll do it for troubleshooting, just to try something. If I'm having problems connecting into my computer, perhaps maybe I'll turn my firewall off temporarily just to make sure that it's not the firewall blocking something. If I was to turn my firewall off and I was able to connect in, that tells me that it is my firewall that's the problem. But if I turn my firewall off and I still can't connect to a computer, then that tells me it's not the firewall probably. Okay, so that's the reason for kind of turning it on or off, but I wouldn't ever leave it off for a long period of time. Okay, so you've got a couple of checkboxes here. You can say block all incoming connections if you want, notify me when Windows Firewall blocks a new app. I can have different options here. I would definitely do this one right here. Block all incoming connections, including those in the list of allowed, in a public environment, an environment that I don't trust. Okay, so I usually do that. Okay, I might trust things on the private network in the domain, but not guest or public. I don't like anything connecting to me. Like if I'm at a coffee shop using my laptop, I don't want anything connecting into me from there, or at a hotel or airport or something like that. Okay, now another thing you can do is you can say allow apps or features through the firewall. So I'll go here, and this will let me allow things on the machine through the firewall. For example, we've talked about shared folders and all that. If I want to allow computers to connect to me for shared folders, I can do this right here, file and printer sharing. I can support that. I'm going to turn that off for the public. Allow it for the domain, allow it for private, but not for public, okay, if I want. So this is just a quick way to turn things on or to allow things in or not allow things in through your firewall, okay. Now, there's also the more advanced firewall, okay. So if you come over here to advanced settings, you can configure inbound rules and outbound rules. Let me zoom in on that. Okay. So I've got inbound rules and I've got outbound rules. An inbound rule is going to affect traffic flowing into your computer. Okay, an outbound rule is going to try to affect traffic going out of your computer. So you can allow things in, you can allow things out, okay? In this case, I've got a inbound rule that's saying block port 1234, which is just going to block all traffic coming in, okay, for that particular port. A port is a number that's associated with some type of service on your machine. For example, port 80 is HTTP, port 443 is HTTPS. Not to turn this into like a networking 101 class, but that's the idea. Okay, so if I wanted to block a port called Telnet. Telnet is a terminal emulation program for remoting into computers. Maybe I want to block it coming in. If I wanted to block it coming in, I'd go to this inbound rule here, go to the action menu, new rule. There we go. New rule. All right. And Telnet uses a port, so I can do programs, ports. So there's even some predefined rules. You can customize things. I'm going to go with port. Okay. I'm going to click next. And then it's known as a TCP port. I'm going to put 23. That's the Telnet port. If you wanted to put a range, you could. Like I could say 23 through 100. It would block every port from 23 to 100. And I could do commas, 23, and then I could say 25. And then it would block 23 and 25. So you can use ranges, or you can actually just put one port in. So if I'm going to block Telnet, I'm going to use 23. I'm going to click next, and then I'm going to say block it. And then I'm going to click next, and then I can choose which profiles I want to block it on. I'm going to block it on all of them. Okay, then I'm going to say block Telnet for all. All right, and just give it a name, and then I'm going to click finish, and as you can see, I've now created my port. Now, if I wanted to stop this computer, that's going to stop computers from connecting into my computer using Telnet. If I wanted to stop this computer from connecting to computers using Telnet, I would do it here. And it's going to work the same way. You just go here, new rule, okay, and then you would click port, run through the wizard, okay, 23, same exact thing really, block, okay, next, put the profiles in, next, and then block Telnet for all. So now I've got two rules, one incoming, one outgoing for blocking Telnet. Okay, so that's the advanced firewall. All right, lets me get in, and I can also support encrypted connections here, which I'm not going to get into right now. And then this is where you can actually monitor some of the traffic flowing in. But we'll talk more about some monitoring stuff later. Okay. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding. Keep in mind, I can actually apply these rules on group policies as well. So I could use a GPO to apply a bunch of firewall rules out to people's machines if I wanted to. Okay, so I could really not just have to do this on a per computer basis, but using GPOs, I could deploy this to a large amount of computers and apply the settings that I want. Okay, so pretty neat. The firewall is actually a lot better than it used to be. Microsoft has really, really improved it over the years, and I definitely, with my different clients that I do consulting work with, I actually use that in their environments, and it works really, really well.